Good morning, guys. I got some pretty big news early 2024 talking about Nintendo, the future of the new consoles, and also where the franchise of Zelda is going to be going. Just gonna get right into it. Let's talk. So, Game Informer had a great interview with Aonuma and the developers of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and it essentially gave away a lot of the future of this game. One of the better questions that I saw was Tears of the Kingdom plays off of Breath of the Wild, but the addition of Ultra Hand adds so much to the core experience. It now feels so integral to the experience and important to those more casual fans you mentioned in bringing in. With that in mind, do you think we will see Ultra Hand return in future titles? When we're creating a title, say Tears of the Kingdom, as you mentioned, the crux of the experience of Tears of the Kingdom is Ultra Hand and the freedom to create. As you mentioned, it is what Tears of the Kingdom is. What we want to do from a game creator's perspective is create something new. From that perspective, I don't think we're seeing Ultra Hand in every Zelda game or anything in the future. This game then is a result of the selection of process. At this time, you'll see that there is no DLC because of that process. From that aspect as well, I think we definitely won't be including Ultra Hand in titles going forward. And at some point, you just need to let something exist. You know, you keep adding little seagulls here and you keep adding trees over there and you just keep adding things. And sometimes it takes away from the magic that you've created below it. Did with Ultra Hand and Tears of the Kingdom is probably some of the most immersive gaming experiences that I've ever had on a Nintendo Switch. If they were capable of doing that, then I'm sure that they're capable of making a better game going forward, or at least something that's going to immerse me in a similar fashion. It took me a while to come to that conclusion. I had to be a big adult about that. I want more Ultra Hand. In that same notion where you did earlier this year confirm that there won't be any DLC for Tears of the Kingdom because you've already accomplished everything that you want to accomplish with this game, have you ruled out another direct sequel? Well, that would be a sequel to a sequel, which is getting a little bit wild when you think about it. It would be a trilogy. I would love it, but I see where this is going. But as I've mentioned in the previous title with Tears of the Kingdom, we're looking to build on top of the world we've created with Breath of the Wild, which is really exhausting the possibilities we put into that world. I think it is, to use a bit of a term, an hypothesis or the final form of that version of Legend of Zelda. In that regard, I don't think I will be making a direct sequel to a world such as the one we've created. Okay, I understand. Nah, realistically speaking, it does make sense. I feel like they've really just maxed out all of their creative juices for this world. I mean, you kind of just build something on top of Breath of the Wild, as they said, but they also found this really innovative way to not only expand the map, but expand the immense amount of immersion that you get inside of that game and how the game feels completely different. I'm not gonna lie, when I saw the direct event for Tears of the Kingdom, I had no idea how this Ultra Hand would actually go, if it would be annoying, if it would become something that would be a burden to the game, and it ended up becoming the identity, literally the DNA of this game, and it is with ease the best part. On that same note, you have to trust the process, and if they're saying that they can't create anything that's going to be better than Tears of the Kingdom inside of this version of Hyrule, then just know that they're probably not going to create anything that's going to live up to your expectations. The worst thing that somebody can possibly do is to continue to run something into the ground. I don't want them to run this into the ground. If you gotta leave it on a high note, leave it on a high note, because I'm genuinely really excited about the future of this game. But on that note, the future of Zelda titles was actually spoke about pretty directly. When you're developing a new Zelda timeline, obviously your primary focus is on the core gameplay, but the timeline placement and discussion has become more important and prevalent among fans of the series. How much consideration and importance did the development team put into these discussions? As you mentioned, that we realize the fans have a great time theorizing and enjoy thinking about the things that fit into the timeline, something that the development team recognizes and considers to an extent. And I say to an extent because if we got too into the weeds and detailed in placement, it could result in kind of creating restraints for our creativity. The process in creating new ideas becomes restricted because we're so tied up in trying to make this fit into a very specific spot in a timeline. We do consider, but not the extent of where we feel like our development process feels restricted and constrained. When you look at Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, the gameplay was the core center of everything. Sure, lore is really important, and I always think that lore and culture and everything that's derived from the Zelda franchise is going to be something that stands out from other franchises. But I say this on this channel way too frequently, and I'm going to say it again, gameplay is king. There's been a lot of leaks and sources saying that Nintendo is going to target a 2024 next-gen console. Now, apparently this is going to be called the Switch 2, which is actually making a lot of sense because the Nintendo Switch is the third best-selling console of all time. It doesn't really make too much sense to reinvent the wheel when this is working so well, so I'm just going to imagine this is going to be a massive hardware update and hopefully fixing some stick drift. God damn it, fix the stick drift. But with that said, I really hope that the Zelda team tests the limits of the new hardware that they're going to offer on the Nintendo Switch 2 coming in 2024. As much as I love Tears of the Kingdom, and I want to sound as grateful as possible when I say this, 30 frames per second is a little dated. Understand that it's a handheld console, and I just want to give all the credit due. However, the hardware itself just seems like it might be a little bit dated in comparison to things like the Steam Deck. To be honest with you, I think that the specs of the Steam Deck might be slightly overkill for a Nintendo-based game system. Not only do they not need the expensive hardware to make these graphics because Nintendo has a cult-like following that would pretty much buy any Nintendo-based console anyway just because of the great amount of selection of franchises that they offer. I don't think that it necessarily needs the amount of power, but it definitely needs a hardware update, and that's just mandatory. I'd love to see a Zelda game similar to the look and aesthetic of Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild in a new universe, offering new creative ways to solve and make solutions and navigate Hyrule or whatever world that they want to put this in. The bar is already set so high with Tears of the Kingdom that a hardware acceleration is going to be one of the most important things to creating a successful Zelda game. I hope you guys enjoy the interview, the video, and all the speculation surrounding it. If you like this type of video, make sure that you like and subscribe because I give you guys gaming news on a daily basis nearly. Between a video, or some type of a live stream, I'm always active on this channel, and I hope that you guys could join me.